This list isn't about what's trending right now. It's about games that left a real impact and are still talked about years later. These are experiences that shaped how people play, think, and remember gaming. If you skip them, you're not just missing a game, you're missing moments that help define an entire generation of players.
When you are at your weakest.
When fear and doubt are a burden too heavy to bear.
Remember this.
Uncharted 4: A Thief's End brings Nathan Drake back into the world of adventure after years of trying to live a normal life. When his brother Sam suddenly returns, Drake is pulled into one final journey that takes him across dangerous locations in search of a legendary pirate treasure. Gameplay mixes shooting, climbing, puzzles, and light stealth into a smooth experience. Combat feels tighter and more controlled, while movement is more fluid, making every encounter feel natural. The game encourages smart positioning and timing instead of rushing through fights. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End stands out because it balances cinematic action with strong character moments. It delivers a satisfying conclusion without losing its sense of adventure, making it a game many players would regret missing.
Last I checked, we're all a bunch of thieves, digging around where we shouldn't.
Shame we're not on the same side.
I am a man of fortune, and I must seek my fortune.
So, are you ready to seek your fortune?
Hang on, Nathan! Where is the artifact?
Heads up!
I made a promise that I was done with this life.
How long have we been chasing this thing?
Long time.
Real long time. Just you and me. No offense to these guys, but they don't get it.
If you're done lying to me, then you should stop.
To you how the story ends. I trust you. You lied to me, Connor. You lied to me.
Detroit Become Human explores a near future where androids live alongside humans, built to serve but slowly learning to feel. The story follows multiple characters whose lives intersect as they question obedience, freedom, and what it means to be alive. Gameplay is built around decision-making rather than action. You explore environments, gather information, and choose how each character reacts under pressure. Small decisions can change relationships, alter future scenes, or completely shift the direction of the story, making every playthrough feel personal. Detroit Become Human stands out because it makes players responsible for the outcome. It's not about winning or losing, but about living with the choices you make. That sense of consequence is what makes this experience hard to forget.
Someone's been watching us.
How do you run from an idea? From a story that lives in your head? I need to escape this nightmare.
Wake says the story will change reality around us. Why are we written into this story? I brought you the
Alan Wake 2 pulls you back into a story that feels darker, slower, and more unsettling than before. This time, the narrative follows two paths, blending Alan's nightmare world with a grounded investigation that slowly reveals how deep the darkness really goes. Gameplay shifts towards survival horror. Combat is heavier and more deliberate, with limited resources forcing you to think before every encounter. Light is still your main weapon, but positioning and awareness matter more than reflexes. The pacing stays tense, keeping you alert instead of overwhelmed. Alan Wake 2 stands out because it commits fully to atmosphere and storytelling. It doesn't rush the experience or explain everything up front. This kind of slow, focused design is exactly why games like this belong on a list you'd regret skipping. Hades drops you into the underworld as Zagreus, the rebellious son of Hades, who is determined to escape his father's realm. The story unfolds naturally through repeated attempts, turning failure into progress. Each run reveals new dialogue and character moments, making the narrative feel alive and constantly moving forward. Gameplay is fast, responsive, and built around momentum. Combat focuses on quick attacks, dodging, and smart use of abilities granted by the gods. Every weapon feels different, encouraging you to change your playstyle instead of relying on one approach. Hades stands out because it turns repetition into strength. It blends action, story, and progression so smoothly that losing never feels wasted. That balance of challenge and charm is why this game earns a place on any list you'd regret missing.
Good. Not good enough.
Black Myth Wukong draws inspiration from the classic tale Journey to the West, placing you in a mythological world filled with gods, monsters, and ancient legends. From the opening moments, the story feels mysterious and serious, focusing on identity, destiny, and power. Gameplay is centered around fast, skill-based combat. You fight using a staff, combining light and heavy attacks, dodges, and transformations. Battles feel intense and deliberate, rewarding timing and patience over button mashing. Each enemy feels dangerous, especially boss fights that test your focus and adaptability. Black Myth Wukong stands out because it blends familiar action design with a fresh cultural perspective. Its mix of challenging combat and legendary source material makes it the kind of game players would regret skipping on a list like this. Devil May Cry 5 brings the series back with a sharp focus on style, speed, and attitude. The story follows Dante, Nero, and the mysterious V as they face a demonic invasion threatening the city. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but still delivers dramatic moments that feel true to the franchise's roots. Gameplay is all about expression. Combat is fast, flashy, and deep, giving you freedom to chain attacks, switch weapons, and experiment with different styles. Each character plays differently, pushing you to adapt and master new mechanics instead of repeating the same moves. Devil May Cry 5 stands out because it knows exactly what it wants to be. It delivers confident action, memorable characters, and combat that feels great to master, making it a game many players would regret missing.
Jump in!
Who dares interfere?
What's happening
was over.
This isn't good. We're gonna get dragged into this.
The Mortuary Assistant places you in a quiet funeral home, where routine work slowly turns into something disturbing. You play as a young mortuary assistant trying to do a normal job, but strange events begin to blur the line between reality and fear. Gameplay focuses on performing embalming procedures while dealing with random supernatural events. You follow realistic steps, handle tools carefully, and stay focused even when the environment starts to change. There is no combat, so fear comes from staying alert and keeping control as the pressure builds. The Mortuary Assistant stands out by turning everyday routine into pure tension. It proves that horror doesn't need action to be effective. Games like this earn a spot on lists you'd regret missing because they stay in your head long after the screen goes dark.
Whatever comes, I will be.
Horizon Forbidden West continues Aloy's journey into a world that feels larger, stranger, and more dangerous than before. The story pushes her beyond familiar lands, facing new tribes, stronger machines, and threats tied to the past she's still trying to understand. Gameplay builds on what worked in the first game, but feels smoother and more flexible. Combat gives you more options, from traps and ranged weapons to close-range skills and tools. Fights reward planning and awareness, especially when dealing with aggressive machines that demand smart positioning. Horizon Forbidden West stands out because it balances scale and focus. It delivers a rich open world without losing direction, making it the kind of experience players would regret missing on a list like this. Phasmophobia drops you into abandoned houses and locations where something clearly feels wrong. You and your team play as ghost hunters, sent in with basic tools and very little information. The story isn't told directly, but built through atmosphere and the fear of the unknown, making every investigation feel unpredictable. Gameplay focuses on teamwork, communication, and observation. You gather evidence using tools like EMF readers, spirit boxes, and cameras while trying to identify the type of ghost haunting the location. The ghost reacts to sound, movement, and even your voice, turning small mistakes into dangerous moments. Phasmophobia stands out because it turns fear into a shared experience. It's not about fighting back, but surviving together. That mix of cooperation, tension, and unpredictability is why this game belongs on a list you'd regret skipping. God of War Ragnarok continues Kratos and Atreus' journey as the end of the Norse world slowly approaches. The story feels heavier and more emotional, focusing on fate, family, and the consequences of past choices. Gameplay builds on the previous game with smoother combat and more options. Fighting feels brutal and controlled, mixing melee attacks, abilities, and strategy. Each encounter rewards smart timing and positioning, especially during intense boss fights that test both skill and patience. God of War Ragnarok stands out because it balances epic scale with personal storytelling. It delivers powerful action while keeping emotions at the center, making it the kind of experience players would regret missing on a game like this.
Are safe.
But that's not all that matters. Who's keeping you safe?
I do not need you to protect me.
You sure about that?
Pretender God! We're the old father!
Death can have me when it earns me.
What do you even know of God's word? In your lifetimes, has anyone ever worshipped you?
Resident Evil 4 Remake brings a familiar survival horror story back with a darker and more intense tone. You follow Leon Kennedy on a mission to rescue the president's daughter, but everything quickly goes wrong in a hostile village filled with danger. Gameplay feels tighter and more deliberate than the original. Combat focuses on smart positioning, resource management, and quick decisions under pressure. Enemies are more aggressive, forcing you to stay alert and make every shot count. The balance between action and survival keeps the pacing intense from start to finish. Resident Evil 4 Remake stands out because it respects the original while modernizing everything around it. It delivers strong action, memorable horror, and polished gameplay, making it an experience many players would regret missing.
Prince child.
I've taken the liberty of preparing some entertainment for you.
Ah, the entertainment.
Without further ado, the gallant knight protects the princess fair.
I'll make a cheat for you.
Move!
Is it always like this with you? How about you open fire instead of your mouth?
Long time no see.
Major Krauser? Why?
Max Payne 3 follows Max at his lowest point, far from the snowy streets of New York and deep into the chaos of Sao Paulo. Older, broken, and haunted by his past, Max is pulled into a violent world while working as private security. The story feels darker and more grounded, focusing on guilt and survival rather than heroics. Gameplay keeps the series' signature gunplay, but makes it heavier and more aggressive. Shooting feels tight and impactful, with bullet time returning as a core mechanic. Positioning and smart movement matter in every fight, turning chaotic gunfights into controlled moments of precision. Max Payne 3 stands out because it fully commits to its tone. It delivers brutal action while telling a personal story about loss and consequence, making it a game many players would regret missing.
I saved you. And I'm here to save you again. The parasites are merely a symptom of a greater sickness in Faerun. The infected hear the voice of the Absolute and believe it to be a god.
The Absolute is more dangerous than you can possibly conceive. It threatens all who live. It threatens the gods. We.
Baldur's Gate 3 pulls you into a fantasy world where nothing feels fixed. The story starts with a shared threat, but quickly branches into personal struggles, politics, and moral choices that shape who you become. Companions feel like real characters with their own beliefs and limits, making every conversation feel important instead of optional. Gameplay is built around turn-based combat and deep role-playing systems. Battles reward planning, positioning, and creative thinking rather than brute force. Outside combat, dialogue choices, skill checks, and actions constantly change how quests unfold. Baldur's Gate 3 earns its place on this list because it gives players true control. Every choice leaves a mark, and that sense of ownership turns the experience into something personal, making it hard to imagine missing a game like this. Final Fantasy VII Remake reintroduces a classic story by slowing things down and letting moments breathe. The game focuses on Midgar, expanding its characters, conflicts, and atmosphere in ways the original only hinted at. Gameplay blends real-time action with tactical command. Combat feels fast and responsive, but still rewards smart decisions like ability timing, positioning, and character switching. Each party member plays differently, encouraging variety instead of sticking to one style throughout the game. Final Fantasy VII Remake ends up being the kind of game that makes you appreciate taking your time. It shows how revisiting a classic can still feel meaningful, especially when the journey feels just as important as where it's going.
What was his name again?
Cloud Strife. This is a one-time gig. When it's done, we're done.
Come on, nobody do something this crazy just for money.
You gonna stand there and pretend you can't hear the planet crying out in pain? I know you can!
I'd worry less about the planet and more about the next 5 seconds.
Okay, that was pretty cool. You weren't thinking of...
Grand Theft Auto V drops you into Los Santos, a city that feels busy, chaotic, and alive from the first minute. The story follows 3 very different characters whose lives slowly collide through crime, ambition, and desperation. Each perspective shows a different side of the city, making the narrative feel varied and unpredictable instead of linear. Gameplay gives you freedom to approach almost everything your own way. Shooting, driving, planning heists, and switching between characters keeps the pace fresh. Missions often let you choose how to act, whether you want to be careful or reckless. Grand Theft Auto V stands out because it feels like a world that keeps moving with or without you. It's the kind of game people keep returning to, not just for missions, but to simply exist inside it for a while. Until Dawn places a group of friends in a remote mountain lodge, where a simple reunion slowly turns into a fight for survival. The story plays like an interactive horror movie, filled with tension, secrets, and bad decisions. Every character feels vulnerable, and from the beginning, the game makes it clear that no one is truly safe. Gameplay focuses on choice and consequence. You explore environments, react quickly during tense moments, and decide how characters respond under pressure. Small decisions can lead to major outcomes later, changing relationships or deciding who lives and who doesn't. Until Dawn stands out because it turns players into the director of their own horror story. The fear doesn't come from combat, but from knowing that one wrong choice can change everything, making it an experience that's hard to forget.
Watching us.
Just going out there. Let's make this one trip we will never forget.
I was down there.
You were?
It was horrible.
I don't want to make hasty decisions that get everyone.
Job to do.
She's at the lake. She's waiting for you there.
We were together for 10 years, and now you tell me she's my enemy.
What about you, Jack? What's it going to be? Loyalty to your country or loyalty to me? Your country or your old mentor? The mission or your beliefs? Your duty to your unit or your personal feelings? You don't know the truth yet. But sooner or later you'll have to choose. I don't expect you to forgive me.
You've got to do it, Snake. She's your...
Metal Gear Solid's Snake Eater remake takes you back to the origins of Big Boss, set during the Cold War, where survival matters as much as loyalty. The story feels grounded and tense, focusing on betrayal, duty, and the cost of following orders. Gameplay emphasizes survival and awareness. You hunt for food, treat injuries, manage camouflage, and move carefully through hostile environments. Combat isn't about rushing in, but reading situations, staying patient, and using the terrain to your advantage. Every encounter feels deliberate and earned. Snake Eater Remake stands out by showing how restraint can be powerful. It proves that slower pacing and thoughtful design can still create unforgettable moments, making this journey feel essential for anyone looking back at why this series became legendary.
The situation's worse than I thought. This may be a one-way ride, so be prepared, Leon.
Sherry, don't worry. I will get you whatever you need, okay?
And tell me everything. Right from the start.
It's Umbrella's fault, this whole mess. But we never meant for this to happen.
Dr. Birkin,
Resident Evil 2 Remake places you in Raccoon City on the night everything goes wrong. Leon and Claire enter a city already overwhelmed by fear, confusion, and infection. The story doesn't try to be complex, but it feels heavy, letting the setting and atmosphere carry the tension while the characters struggle just to survive. Gameplay is built around survival and pressure. Ammo and healing items are limited, forcing you to think before every encounter. Shooting feels weighty, but avoiding enemies is often the smarter choice. The modern camera and controls make movement smoother, while the constant threat keeps stress levels high. Resident Evil 2 Remake stands out because it respects fear and pacing. It doesn't rush scares or rely on non-stop action. By balancing tension, atmosphere, and smart design, it delivers a survival horror experience players won't forget. The Last of Us Part 1 tells a grounded, emotional story set in a world that has already lost hope. You follow Joel and Ellie as they travel across a ruined America, not to save the world, but simply to survive it. The story focuses on loss, trust, and human connection, making every moment feel personal rather than heroic. Gameplay balances stealth, combat, and careful movement. Resources are limited, forcing you to think before every fight. Encounters feel tense and heavy, rewarding patience and awareness instead of aggression. Each situation pushes you to choose how far you're willing to go to stay alive. The Last of Us Part 1 stands out because it prioritizes emotion over spectacle. It proves that strong characters and believable moments can leave a deeper impact than any big set piece, making it an experience players would regret missing.
You do what I say, when I say it.
Joel, I can handle myself.
It's called luck, and it is gonna run out.
You hear that? Run! There's too many of them!
You ready to haul ass? Come on.
realize what your life means?
Elden Ring drops you into the lands between, a world that feels broken long before you arrive. There's no long introduction or clear explanation, only ruins, fallen kingdoms, and a quiet sense of loss. The story is told in fragments, letting players slowly understand the past through exploration. Gameplay gives you freedom paired with real challenge. Combat demands patience, timing, and awareness, rewarding those who learn enemy patterns instead of rushing in. You're free to choose how to approach every situation, whether through careful combat, magic, summons, or simply walking away to grow stronger elsewhere. Elden Ring stands out because it gives players trust and space. It doesn't guide every step, but lets discovery, failure, and triumph shape the journey, creating an experience that feels personal and unforgettable.